Hello, 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 everyone out there. Welcome to today's show. This is Shay Parker on another episode of Metaphysical Minds. Our topic today is a very interesting one, and I hope that a lot of you are going to get some enjoyment out of it. I know I'm looking forward to it. We're actually going to be talking about angel encounters. Now, don't get too hung up on the angel thing. We're talking about any sort of divine and spiritual encounters that folks may or may not have had. You do not have to specifically, believe in angels to believe in divine beings. So, but we are going to be talking about angel encounters today, and we encourage anybody out there listening, if you have had an angel encounter, we would like to hear about it. You can comment right here in the comment section with us today. So I'm going to go ahead and bring on our expert guests. Now, both of these ladies are from bestamericanpsychics.com. That's how we do this show. Metaphysical Minds is an offshoot of our main website, bestamericanpsychics.com. And both of these ladies are expert professionals in their field. They've both been double tested for accuracy, professionalism, ethics, and more on bestamericanpsychics.com, so you can find them there if you have any questions. We're also going to put their links in the comment section here on Facebook, so you'll be able to click right through to them. I'm going to go ahead and bring them onto the show because we've only got 40 minutes and we have a lot to cover. So I'm going to start with a familiar to you guys. She was actually on a couple of other shows earlier, so I'll bring her back, and then we'll go to our next guest. So our first guest is Jeannie Crescenzo, and she is with us today. Again, you can find her on Best American Psychics. And then we have the lovely Tiffany Powers with us today. She's new to today's show, but she's not going to be new to you guys for long because she is one of our Spotlight Psychics. And she's actually going to be doing an individual show with me immediately following this one. So lots to hear today from Tiffany as well. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into angel encounters. I see we've already got some viewers popping on. I want to thank everybody. Please give us a shout out in the comments. If you are joining us today, tell us who you are and where you're from. And if you've ever had an angel encounter or have any questions about angel encounters, please feel free to ask them in the comments. And one final bit of admin stuff here. If you all want to subscribe to future shows, just type spirit in the comments. So we've got Mari with us today, Marie Catherine with us today. They're already shouting out to us. They're fellow Best American Psychics members. So hello, ladies. So let's just go ahead and jump right in. Jeannie and Tiffany, I haven't even let you say one word, so both of you can say hi right now. Hi. All right, guys. Angel encounters. So let's dive right in. All right, so first talk to us a little bit about what you ladies consider an angel to be, and how do you know? Both of you have had angel encounters. So how did you know that what you were encountering was an angel in the first place, and or what you deem as an angel? And then we'll delve into your actual experiences as well. So eeny meeny. Tiffany, I'll start with you on this one. So you had this encounter. Tell us about it, and then tell us why you felt that you were communicating with an angel.
So when I've experienced angels, it's been in different ways. And, I've had a couple of experiences with like car accidents and just, things where I could have really been injured. And when I've had those experiences, angels will come to me, and it's a very peaceful feeling. And I just feel this overwhelming sense of serenity and peace. And I also am really good at hearing, intuitively and seeing, so I can actually visually and psychically see them, as well as hearing them say, you're okay, you're safe, things like that. When I've had, like I said, car accidents and things like that. And then also I've had other experiences where, when I was a young girl, I was probably about 5 years old. I was living in another country. I was with my brother. He was just a baby. I think he was probably maybe 6 months old or a year. And then what had happened was our kitchen was flooding, and we were in a country where nobody else spoke English. They all spoke Spanish. And my mom was there with us, and our whole, everything was flooding. It was scalding hot water, and we were just really scared. And my mom also is a very, I would say, intuitive, spiritual person. And she just started praying and asking for help and saying, like, what are we going to do? And we didn't know our neighbors or anything or speak the language, like I said. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, my mother, she ran outside and just said, help. And she said it in English. And then this gentleman ran into our house and automatically fixed our kitchen, fixed the faucet. And interestingly enough, he was wearing a U.S. postal jacket, and it was in another country. And that was where my grandfather actually worked for the U.S. Post Office. So that was
Wow.
really weird. And then the man fixed everything, made sure everything was kind of like organized. And then he didn't say one word. He just looked at us, and I remember that. And then he ran out the door. When my mom walked out, she looked and nobody was there.
Wow. Jeez. So Earth Angel. Now that's interesting to me because, okay, so when we came up with the idea for this show, I was kind of thinking more other dimensional angels, to where, because I've heard story after story, especially on Best American Psychics, where the people have seen literally like the typical angel, with the wings and all that. But it didn't even occur to me Earth angels, and that happens all the time. I mean, we have these pop-ins that they sort of appear out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden they're nowhere to be found. And it's I didn't even think about that. So that's actually a great story.
Yeah.
So we'll come back to touch on a bit more on that. But Jeannie, I want to get your experience as well, and then we'll kind of have a whole angelic conversation. So,
well, I've had a kind of a variety of different stories. I would definitely say, though, the majority of my stories are other dimensional. It is me seeing, but some of these experiences are just so powerful and real, and that's what angels do. That's how you know it's an angel. It's powerful, it's real, it gives you that that knowing and that warm glow within you, and that peace that you're like, I am connecting with something truly divine here, and there is no doubt in my mind, in my body, in my soul. And that's what angels do, is they leave no room for the doubt with their presence and their energy, and the way that they can literally like move through dimensions and even onto this earth plane just to do something for us, to intervene or to bring that needed healing or that energy. And I found that one of my biggest experiences was actually about not too long ago. It was about maybe 4 years ago. And I was living in a different house, and I was experiencing some very strange and unusual depression, and some just very low energy, just feeling very negative energy. And it became so intense. And I knew inside, I'm like, something's wrong. Something feels wrong here. This just doesn't feel right to me. This doesn't feel like me. And so I started calling on the angels at that moment. And I'm calling out to them, and I'm saying, you have to come help. I don't know what's happening. I really don't know what's happening here with this energy, but I'm feeling overwhelmed here. And I heard clear as day, we know you're asking for us, but call on the principalities, please. And I said, what? Okay. So I started calling on the principalities, and I literally saw a shaft of light pierce through what looked like dark clouds. And I'm like, I think I'm having a vision. I still get chills to this day thinking about this, but it was almost like instantly the feeling of whatever that was gone. And the next thing I know, I'm standing in the center of these golden beings, and they look like statues. They don't look like typical angels. They looked like giant golden statues, and I was just this tiny little being, and the energy around them was humming like electricity. And I'm sitting there fully awake, fully conscious. And here's
I was just going to ask, were you awake during all this, or was this a dream? Okay.
And what was even funnier is my boyfriend walked into the room at that very moment, and he says, "What you doing?" And I'm like,
no.
"I'm having an angelic experience." And he goes, "Okay," and he just walks out like this is a normal day in his life.
Yeah.
That did not break the connection. They were still there, and it was still intense. And they did some kind of clearing, not just of myself, but I could feel the radiant energy within my body. I mean, it was like a warm radiance rising up my spinal column. And then they cleared something out from the space, because there's a lot of energy in that house and on that land. So they did something there, and I was like, wow. And that and then it slowly faded away. They gave me some messages about my life, and it slowly faded away. And it's sort of like I came back into reality, if that makes sense. It's like, okay, here I am. I'm still fully conscious. I'm still fully awake. And I'm having this experience. And I just knew that the principalities are not an everyday, you don't call on them every day. They won't come for everyday problems. This was a very specific issue that I'm still wrapping around my head to this day, of the extremity of like the negativity that I was dealing with. But for whatever reasons, the angels that I normally call on, they were like, nope, you got to call in the big guns today. We need to do some serious energy clearing or whatever it is we need to do. But it was so incredible, and it was so healing, and it was so palpable. And that's what I always say about angels, is their energy is very, very tangible. Even on this plane, they know how to reach through into our dimension. Just the similar way that sometimes our loved ones can too. But they tend to have a little more backbone or oomph, I guess you could say, to do this. Like there's just no messing around. Like, here we are, we've got a job to do, we're going to get it done. So it was pretty incredible to have that experience, and to know exactly what was happening, during all of it. It's incredible.
It is amazing. It's absolutely. So I want to ask you some questions about the principalities and such, but before I do that, Tiffany, I want to bounce back to you, because the idea and the knowledge that we have of angels is certainly subjective, okay, across the board. We've got the people out there who are like, oh, angels don't exist, and then you've got the people who are, their only idea of angels is the big wings and the archangels, if you will, Michael, Gabriel. You always hear, pray to Archangel Michael for protection, et cetera, et cetera. Metatron's another huge one, So anyway, my question is, with the earth-based angels, and this question is actually for both of you, but I'll start with Tiffany. How does that work? Do you think that the ethereal angels can actually come into a human body for a period of time that they're needed, or do you think that they actually walk the earth in physical form as angels?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. Well, I feel that, I think like with that experience I was talking about, where it was like that mailman actually showed up, wearing that jacket. I feel like that was an angel, and it looked like it was a human being, like he was a human being, but he really wasn't. He was actually an angel.
Sure.
Because it's like that whole thing that happened, it's like, that's impossible. It was just amazing. But, I think that also I think that angels can walk into people. And I also feel that, I meet a lot of people that are actually like in their spiritual DNA, like they're earth angels, and they're here to, change the world, to help people, to help children, to raise the vibration, to bring in unconditional love. So I think that there's angels everywhere. and it's just in different ways. And a lot of us light workers, I think we have that, hybrid, we're human, but we also have that angelic, DNA, because we just have this deep desire on a daily basis to help other people.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That makes total sense to me. And I also think that animals can be earth angels. I mean, in fact, I think most of them probably are, even more so than people. So, because they have that innocence, that total, no expectation. Well, some do have expectations, but most of them have that total innocence.
True.
Well, no, I love that. I love that answer because we tend to take a very linear and natural perspective. A lot of us, we get caught up in our day, the stress, running here, running there, taking the kids to soccer, bouncing back, running to work, working overtime. And I think that, there are those people sometimes that you pass, or they're standing on the corner of the road, or they're, and you never know. I always go back to this in my daily life. And I think, the person that's standing on the corner asking for help with his hand out or whatever, part of me sometimes wonders, what if that's an earth angel? Like, what if it's a test? I mean, not that I don't want to get into this whole we're being tested for good and bad and sin and not, but I sometimes think, if I were that person and I were standing there and I were desperate, and there's a lot of people out there that say, well, don't feed the homeless, or don't do this or don't do that, but I don't have the heart not to. If I see someone laying on a bench and they're cold, I mean, I'll lay food by them and walk away. And and it's, to me, I think that I've often wondered if the angels are sort of there with us on this earthly plane, just kind of standing off at the side to kind of, watching things, and they come in all forms. So it's always been a question in the back of my mind, like who is really what out there. That, I mean, we encounter millions of people in our lives, and you sometimes some people you meet are so odd that you're like, that person cannot possibly be from this planet. And then others are so earthbound and so in touch. It's almost like you can feel that they're just an elder, that like, so really, really interesting stuff. But Jeannie, I know you've probably got something to add on.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I have an experience you're talking about this homeless people that might be angels. Well, I have a direct experience to add to that. This was during a time in my life where it pretty much I was going through a lot of turmoil, and I was basically homeless at the time, or about to be. And I remember driving my car, and I was thinking about it, and we were stopped at a stoplight, and I saw there was a homeless man there, holding a sign. And I heard clear as day, give that man some money. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And it felt so much like I'm giving an angel money. I'm giving this angel money, and this angel, or this is going to help me, or this is going to, I don't know. It was the strangest feeling, like there was a sacred task that was happening here. And sacred exchange. And it was incredible. I mean, it ended up shifting my life.
That's a perfect word for it, sacred exchange.
Yeah. It ended up changing my life in a lot of ways, because it helped me I just had this incredible awe and humility in that moment of like, okay, there's this is very angelic. This is a strong, presence and moment in my life, and to be aware and to appreciate that. And so it was awesome.
Yeah. It really is. It's I've had that same experience in my life. And I understand what you're talking about. You don't really even think about it at the time, but then it affects you on such a base, profound level, in these layers, almost like a waterfall throughout your life. And there's many times where you go back to those moments, like with Tiffany, the fact that guy had a postal jacket on, like, what are the odds of that? I mean, being in a foreign country and your grandfather worked for the postal service, and here this postal he's wearing a postal jacket. I mean, that's not exactly something super common. People go around wearing postal jackets, I mean, at least not in a foreign country. So yeah, that's crazy. Well, anyway, Jeannie, I wanna jump back to you for our listeners who were out there and heard your story about, and which, by the way, was an amazing experience for you. You discussed calling on the principalities. Can you just, for our listeners, give a brief understanding of what the principalities are, like what that means?
Well, let me start by saying, at first, I wasn't totally bought into the whole hierarchy when this was like brought to my attention. So I was like, I wasn't sure what the hierarchy meant, or the different classes, or the different types of angels there were. But I had in my mind, I had remembered knowing that the principalities, they were defined as something different in the Bible, but somewhere I read they are the angels closest to God. And
right.
And that stuck with me more than the technical meaning, say, through the Bible and what they actually were. And so I think it was in the moment for me, it was, here are these golden angels that are deeply connected to the divine source. And they are there guarding the integrity of divine source and that divine energy. Why wouldn't they be here, clearing the energy and writing it back to its divine integrity? And so I always thought of it that way, as like, yes. And I started to learn all the different angels. There's this different hierarchy, and I'm starting to understand each one has a unique vibration and it has a unique purpose. Just like people, just like people, or just like human beings have a soul theme, of learning and growing and patterns and lessons and gifts that they bring. So do angels, I guess. They have this whole, but it's different because, at least apart from earth angels, most angels that I've encountered, at least in the interdimensional form, at least those have chosen not to ever incarnate. They do not have bodies,
They've always been divine beings.
They've been in that vibration, and that's where they stay. At least in the principalities, they stay in the integrity of that energy.
Okay, gotcha.
And that's where they are. They don't transcend too often unless there's something big going on or it needs to be cleared that they are perfect for, I guess you could say.
Sure.
So yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for that clarification, because some people may not understand. And here's another question. And Tiffany, I'll start with you on this one. So, I hate this. I don't want to get into the whole religion, Christianity, this, that, because to me, it's all, and I know you ladies feel the same way, obviously. We're all universal. So for those out there listening that might be, Buddhist or Hindu, or may not understand the teachings of the Bible necessarily, can you ladies touch on the sort of omnipotence, if you will, of the angelic realm? In other words, if you're not into, kind of Christianity and the Father, Mother, Holy Trinity and all that, do angels exist for those that are not Christian? Let's touch on that a little bit. And I already, of course, know the answer to this but Tiffany, I'm going to start with you on this one.
Okay, thank you. Yes, great question. So, I believe that they do, and I was raised very strict Catholic, and Catholic people do believe in like angels and all of that, and are very connected to that, and like praying and asking, for help from angels and things like that. So I kind of grew up like that, and also with all the clients that I work with, they have varied religious belief systems, and just different things resonate with them. But I feel that any religion or any belief system, as long as you're open, could be open to connecting with angels, because I don't feel that there's any, yes, they are mentioned in the Bible and in different religions, but I really feel that, no matter what your belief system, if you're open to it, that they do exist for sure. And I have clients that are Buddhist. I have clients that are, Wiccan. I have clients that are, just all types of different religions, and they do have those types of experiences all the time. I think it's more just about the openness, and that, you know, they can, however they need to perceive that for them is perfect for them. And however an angel shows up to them, that's perfect for them too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Jeannie, you're nodding. Go ahead. I know you want to say something.
I'm like, I'm so excited. Yeah, I definitely, I agree 100% with Tiffany. And I just like to add in too that angel is the Christian word for what we're experiencing, but these beings of light transcend belief systems.
Right, right.
You know, they transcend belief systems, and we just are giving them a word. We're giving them a label, you know, throughout these different cultures. But every culture has their beings and what they call that. So it might be labeled as something different. And not only that, but they might present themselves according to that person's beliefs, so that there's no question what that being is.
Mm-hmm. Jeannie, hold that thought for 1 second. I'm getting a notification from our producer. I'm going to pull you out and then pull you right back in, because it looks like there might be some interference. So hang tight, guys. We're going to bring Jeannie right back in here. Hang on. Let me add you back in. Something went a little wacky. Okay. I'm going to see if that worked a little bit better for you. Okay. Producer, yes, there she is. All right, so Jeannie magically reappeared. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. We are just giving them a label. You know, it's just a human word, which word is, you know, it is just that. So, but of course, divine energy can be ever present. You know, I mean, I think a tree can have divine energy. I think, you know, so. Totally, we've got across the board, and I just like to clarify that, because I don't ever like to sort of pigeonhole what we do, or certainly not divinity within itself. I mean, I think it's ever present within everyone, whether you're in, you know, Africa or you're here in the States or whatever. I think everybody can be and is on a daily basis touched by divinity. So let's see. We have some customers. We have some listeners writing. Marie Catherine just wrote us, and she's actually a Best American Psychics member. So she is sharing a brief story with us. Well, a little bit more than brief. She said, I've come to know about my guardian angel at a young age of 4. I was drawn to calling him Aramis. I went to a nunnery school from preschool to high school as a young child, and I was always caught talking to someone. While I knew who I was talking to, others around saw that as there's something wrong with me, while talking to Aramis was perfectly normal. The story goes on. She says, he's brought me back to a profound feeling of true and divine love. I look forward to my travels with him as I sleep. I won't read the whole thing. You guys can kind of read it in the comments. But let's touch on that. And Marie Catherine, thank you for sharing. She's laughing at me now. But thank you for sharing your story. Let's talk a little bit, ladies, about guardian angels, because of course that's a huge thing for people out there. So does every person have like their own guardian angel, or do you think that just all the angels sort of work together to say, hey, I've got this one today, you take that one? I mean, how does that work for you guys? And Jeannie, I'll start with you on this one, and then we'll bounce to Tiffany.
Okay. Well, I'm definitely going to say yes. I'm going to say yes. Part of what I do is I actually paint people's guardian angels.
Yes.
So it's everyone has an angelic being that's sort of watching over them and guarding them. And this is also aside from like a spirit guide or a communication guide or primary guide. You have that, and also that angelic guardian that sort of makes sure that you are safe and that you are clear. And so that's specific to you, that has knowledge also of your life's path and what you need to be working on, just as much as your own spirit guide does. So it's kind of like there's your spirit guides, which have been an incarnate before at least once, that are closer to you on the earth plane. And then you've got your guardian angel, who can transcend going up and down these different dimensions very easily. it's sort of, I feel like they're always on standby.
Yeah,
I sort of feel like they're on standby, you know, watching over us, and not that some of us need them, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But that are there sort of helping us and guiding us, and that we can connect to on a regular basis as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Tiffany, what do you have for us?
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I've definitely had some experiences in my life that were really scary, and you know, especially like my childhood. And I remember when I was like around age 5, you know, an angel coming to me and showing me the future, that it was going to be really hard. You know, these different things were going to happen, and they did happen, which is pretty crazy. But you're going to be okay. I'm going to be, I'm here with you. And that was really profound, because I knew that even though I felt alone, even though I was scared, and even though I knew some things that were going to come in that weren't really good, even at a young age, I knew that I was going to always have that guardian angel with me, protecting me and guiding me, and just helping me. And it's just always like this voice, like, you need to do this, you know, don't do this, you need to prepare for this. And I feel extremely protected and safe, you know, with that. And with my guardian angel. And yeah, I think that we all have them. I think we can have more than one. I think that we have soul contracts and agreements with these angels. And I also think that sometimes when we have like a major transformation in our life, or we're having like a shift and we're leveling up, that sometimes we get a new one to help us with the next phase. So yeah, it's been amazing. And also something kind of interesting when clients ask me what their guardian angels' names are. One thing that I find kind of fascinating is that they don't always have names.
Mm-hmm.
And they're either, their name can be light, like a color, or it can be a sound that I can't even pronounce.
Yeah, you'd be like trying to make a no.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't say it, but it's some kind of like pitch noise, and I can, you know, but that's when I'm
it's
doing
like a solfeggio note or something that you can't hit. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow. That's amazing. You know, I never thought about that. Like I'm sure they have their own language completely unto itself. And obviously we wouldn't be able to even begin to comprehend that. That's fascinating stuff. And never even thought about that. Well, now here's a question that always, and this might sound a little sarcastic, but sometimes I think it's like you hear this, well, you know, pray to Archangel Michael for protection, or pray to, you know, so-and-so for this. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, so this angel, all right, it's got people all over the world, like asking for protection or asking for, you know, it's kind of like the saints, you know, pray to St. Anthony if you've lost something or whatever, which I do, by the way, all the time, and it does work. But I'm sitting there thinking, how does that work? I guess I think of it on a much too humanistic level. Like I'm thinking this one, you know, being like taking care of millions of requests at one time. And so can you ladies touch on that a little bit? Like when you send out that channel or that, you know, that bat signal asking for help to specifically Archangel Michael or whatever, I mean, in your, I guess, opinions or experiences, what does that look like? Does it just sort of broadcast like a beacon to all of them out there, or does Archangel Michael specifically say, "Hey, Jeannie needs help in, you know, so and so, you know, go get her"? I mean, what does that look like? So, Jeannie, I'm gonna pick up you with this one. If you don't know, just say I have no.
I'm gonna try to find the best words to describe this, but it's like I'm going to do my best with this limited language I have, but it almost there's two instances. One is where a being can function on multiple levels, on multiple levels in that angelic dimension. They can have multiple functions and with ease and grace, and not, you know, and not have the struggle that we have with our time limitations, and there's only one of us. And the other one is there's a whole tribe of Michael. Okay. There's a whole angelic tribe of Michael vibrational like angelic beings, and that they do serve a purpose. So I always think of like Michael and the Legion of Light. You know, there's that vibration, and they all carry the same vibration. They all carry the same essence. So when I'm calling on Michael, because what's happened to me is like I've asked for Michael, and Michael has shown up, and he doesn't look like he has shown up to me, and he doesn't look like your typical angel. He might show up to me and look like this galactic guardian, but I know it's him. I know it's him, and it's the vibration. So it's very unique how they choose to do this. And my sense is, because this is a whole nother topic I'm bringing up here, but my sense is we have the same ability to function on multiple dimensions and multiple levels when we finally cross over and go into our full spirit existence. We will have, a similar ability. So why not angels? It's like, that's a whole other topic. It's a whole other can of worms to open up.
Well, actually, we have another show in 2 weeks on part 2, Angel Encounters. So maybe we'll delve into that.
Yeah. That's kind of my explanation, or what I can describe to you, just what I know.
Right. With Now, Tiffany, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, and I used to, I would call in Archangel Michael, but what I've started doing, like, especially if I'm doing like a house cleansing or if there's like an emergency situation, I just go into prayer and I ask for like 10,000 angels to come. And I just have this inner trust, like, that they're all the highest and best angels that are coming, and I feel them and I can sense them, and there's a lot of them, and it's amazing. And I've had really amazing experiences with that. But yeah, I think that when you call in Archangel Michael, that anything is possible. So it's possible that all these different people could be calling in Archangel Michael and having these experiences. It could be, him showing up to everybody. I think that that's totally possible because, is there really time and space and all these other things, beyond our realm or our reality?
Very good point too. There is no time. So I guess, and then that's like impossible for a human, the human mind operates off, we've got these schedules and we've got this time. And I just know how I feel like when 5,000 people have called me and I've gotten, 36 Facebook messages and I've gotten, 28 email messages, and then my phone's ringing off. I'm like, like I can't do all this at one time. You're bouncing and all these different. So I'm thinking of these poor angels who have 20 million people, asking them for help. But it's all relative. So I just have to clone myself. So I like the Michael tribe though. That's pretty good. The whole legion. Well, the other thing, ladies, that I think is important to remind our listeners today, and this I always forget to do, and I don't know why, because it always works, just ask your angels for help. Like I forget that a lot in my life because I'm going through my day and and then I'm like, oh my God, I'm so exhausted. Like last night I was so tired. I couldn't keep my eyes open. And I hit the bed at 7:00 and I don't think I got up. Because I've been pulling, 20-hour days. And so I have found though in the past though, that when I remember to ask for help, my aunt and I were just laughing about this the other day because we both said this prayer. We had some family stuff going on with my grandmother, and we were like, well, my aunt said, well, I'm just going to pray to the angels and all the angels and saints for help. And I said, well, that's funny because I did the same thing. And then all of a sudden, all this stuff started happening with my grandmother that was out of this world crazy stuff that I won't even get into. And we started laughing and she said, I'm never asking those angels for help again. It was actually hilarious. All the just crazy things that happened in help, but it was all at once. So it's very powerful stuff, really, really powerful stuff. So, well, I thank you ladies for sharing your knowledge about the angels with us today. I think this has been a super fun show. I've learned a lot, and we're going to learn even more about the angels in 2 more weeks because both these ladies are going to come back with us, and we're going to do part 2 of Angel Encounters. So what I want to ask all of our listeners out there, if you watch this show in replay or whatever, if you could type us your questions that you might have about the angelic realm, that will give us time to prep for the next show, which is 2 weeks from now on Angel Encounters. And we can then, at that point, answer the audience questions. I know we didn't get to a lot of that today just because we had a lot to cover. in the first show. But these ladies are going to be back in 2 weeks at the same time, and we're going to have part 2 of this show, and we'll send out Facebook reminders about that. But remember, if you want to subscribe to future upcoming shows, just type Spirit in the comments here, and we'll make sure that we get you on the list to send you out broadcast reminders. So do you two have any sort of final words of wisdom or, advice to our listeners today about communicating with angels? And I'm going to start with Tiffany on this one.
Yes. My advice would be just to take a deep breath, close your eyes, and just connect and ask for what you need and call them, and just enjoy that experience and just feel how your body feels. Are you getting messages? Are you getting any sensations? And just starting there, just that's the first step.
Okay, wonderful. Jeannie, what about you?
I love that. I just feel that our breath connects us to the divine. So don't hold your breath when you're asking for help. Just remember to breathe and let that presence fill you with calm and peace. You'll always know that your angels are near you when you start to feel calm amidst the chaos of your life. When you're calling for help and you feel that calm, that centering, trust that feeling. That's the feeling of your angels connecting with you.
All right. Wonderful, wonderful advice. Okay. Well, folks, we are at our 12:40 mark here, and this being a 40-minute show, that means we're out of time. But what I want to remind everyone, and it is something very special today, we're actually doing a follow-up show because Tiffany is a spotlight psychic on Best American Psychics. So we're going to be doing a one-on-one private interview with her at 1 p.m. So 20 minutes from now, that's Eastern time, 1 p.m. Eastern. So kind of stay tuned for that. It will be a separate show, so we'll log back in, but we will be back on the air in 20 minutes. So definitely stay tuned for that. We're actually going to be talking about psychic blocks and challenges, and then I think we're going to touch a little bit on psychic protection as well. So definitely stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, we're not going to go far, so we'll be right back shortly. But don't forget, if you're interested in getting a reading or, even just having a session with either one of these ladies, their links are going to be posted in our comments. And of course, Jeannie will be back with us as well. I strongly suspect she's going to be a regular now because the audience loves her and she's a wealth of information. So, and we know Tiffany will be back right with us in about, 15, 18 more minutes now. So everybody stay tuned. We shall return, and thank both of you ladies today. I really appreciate you spending your time and your knowledge with us once again. So we're going to wrap this show. So thank you. And guys, we'll be back in 20 minutes. So be sure to stay tuned. So, All right. This is Shay Parker. I'm signing out for now, and we'll be back really fast. So, all right, everybody. Bye-bye for now.